Data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics indicates Minnesota has the best 5-year business survival rate in the country. According to Deed, business starts in Minnesota were up nearly 60% in the third quarter compared to a year ago. And the state also is above the national average in incorporated business startups since this pandemic began a year ago. The ranking was based on data from 2015 to 2020, with Minnesota's rate at right around 55.5%. compared to the national rate, which is at 50%. Catherine Petralia is a co-founder of a company called Kabbage, which provides financial solutions for small businesses. And let's talk about that, Catherine. How are small businesses recovering this year or plan to recover this year, as so many were closed for almost a year?
It's interesting. You might, and thanks for having me, you might have heard about the K-shaped recovery, where some folks are doing really well and other folks are really not doing well. And we've seen that play out in small businesses. What is remarkable to me is how many small businesses have figured it out. Whether their business simply continued to thrive because their products and services remained in demand, or whether they changed their business model in order to sort of survive in the brave new world. It's really amazing how many of them have come out on the other side and feel really good about their business and about continuing to grow it.
Talk to me about how the debate over the minimum wage, both on the federal level, but also here in Minnesota, while you may not be, super knowledgeable with where we stand as a state with trying to increase the minimum wage, I know that so many small businesses don't want this because they say it's going to hurt them at a time that they're already hurting. So factor in all the variables on minimum wage in the debate.
Well, I'm certainly not an expert on minimum wage and how that's impacting small businesses. What I can tell you is I heard a really interesting story that was around what happened with fast food companies when minimum wages were raised. And the concern was that the prices would be passed on to the consumers and consumers wouldn't want to buy the products. And what they found was that not only did consumers not mind that there was a price increase on the products, but it also didn't cause these fast food locations to move to automated kiosks that would have actually reduced their cost of operating. So I think there are a lot of ways to manage a minimum wage increase. And so I think what may happen, obviously, in the short term is maybe a little bit of stunted hiring. But long term, I think businesses have always had to figure it out, because sometimes if you're a manufacturer, the price of your raw materials goes up and the price of it goes down. And human support is a raw material, if you will, that's necessary for a lot of businesses to work. And so businesses will figure out how to make that work for them.
A lot of the small businesses have depended heavily on government help over the past year. If you can hang with me just 2 minutes, we'll come back, talk about how they use that government money, and some have to pay it back, or they're being told that they need to pay it back. That's still a fight that's in the courts. But give me just 2 minutes, we'll come back.
Okay.
Again, I'm speaking with Catherine Petralia, who is a co-founder of a company that provides financial solutions for small businesses. And there's a lot of data and tips on the road to recovery. And we have so many small businesses that are afraid of going under the longer this pandemic goes on. Talk about some of the new data that helps give them maybe a positive outlook for the year ahead.
Well, what we found, when American Express found, when we surveyed small businesses, we found that 75% of small businesses are optimistic about business recovery, which is really exciting because I don't think anybody would have expected that. And I think, it's always, when you get through something that's really hard, when you get on the other side, you say, wow, I can't believe I did that. And I think it sort of reinforced everyone's capabilities that they could do it. And 82% of these small businesses said they felt better about handling a future crisis. So not only do they feel better about running their current business, but they felt like they could handle something hard if it came their way.
I know about taking out loans. I know that there has been the financial help from the CARES Act and money that has come in to help small businesses. But if I'm a small business owner and I've already looked at those options, what else is there for me as I'm still struggling to make payroll or pay rent? It's still really hard.
cash flow is certainly king for small businesses. And if they're not generating the type of revenue that they need to run their business, and they're not finding more support from CARES Act, for example, then there are other options. But I would like to back up and say, there's a second round of PPP for not only customers who borrowed previously, but also new customers to PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, which is the SBA program being run as a result of the CARES Act. And so I would encourage businesses to apply for that if they haven't already. I think we probably wind up seeing more relief going forward. There are also very specific relief programs for very specific types of businesses. I learned that there's one for entertainment venues, for example. So that obviously if you run an entertainment venue, then you've had depressed revenue because folks haven't been able to attend your venue. So I think you should check with trade associations that represent potentially your specific industry and see what may be available for you. And then outside of that, I think access to small business financing is opening up again. So I would look into access to everything from installment loans to lines of credit to card products that can help you bridge the gap.
And lines of credit. You brought up American Express. Credit is not something small business owners are, it's not something that they want to gain more of as far as more debt and borrowing. Credit companies are in to make a profit as well. So how feasible is that? I don't want that to be like a last option for people.
I think it all depends on the business and how it's operating. So if things are really tight and revenue isn't being generated, then certainly I think a commercial line of credit may not be the best option, because you certainly want to have when you're using credit as a small business, you want that to be a revenue generating asset. You want to be able to invest it in things that are going to grow more revenue, and paying off old debts is certainly not a way to use that capital. If a business is growing and there's a great opportunity to invest in marketing or invest in equipment or in supplies or items that you keep in your store inventory, then I think it's a great time to get access to credit to continue to grow if your business is growing. I think it really just depends on the complexion of each business and where they are in their revenue cycle.
Do you know specific sectors of industries that are doing better in this pandemic? I have to imagine the healthcare field, because we, being in Rochester, Minnesota, we consider ourselves the Med City with Mayo Clinic right here and other great healthcare organizations. But what businesses or small businesses are thriving?
I was really surprised during PPP. I talked to a small business customer, and they had a small home renovation business. And they'd applied for PPP, and they had a question, and I wound up talking to them. And I said, things must be really tough right now. This was early on, like in April maybe of last year. And he said, no, business is booming. Everyone's stuck in their homes, and they're all tired of their kitchens. He's like, I don't have enough people to do all the work. And I thought, holy cow, that's crazy. I wouldn't have thought of that. And even to my local framing shop, I went in and asked them a similar question a couple of weeks ago about how their business has been. And they said, they're 2 months delayed on delivering frames to customers because everyone's buying things for their house. So everything from construction to supplies for homes. So whether it's companies, big home improvement warehouses, or whether it's furniture companies, anything for the home is really going crazy. Anything that's related to travel, obviously, hospitality has been really difficult. Restaurants and foot traffic retail, brick and mortar retail has been a challenge. Even businesses that rely on urban commercial environments, whether it's a restaurant or a dry cleaner or a nail salon, where you don't have folks coming into the office and they're not going into your stores, it's really hard to generate business in a really commercial urban environment.
Catherine, do you have time to stay with me for one more segment? Because I have some other questions about entrepreneurs who are thinking about starting a business and thinking this is a terrible time. Can I get you to hang with me 2 more minutes?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, we'll be right back. For businesses, small businesses especially, we know it has been a very difficult year. We are focusing very much right now in this half hour on small businesses and how they can not just survive but thrive even during this difficult time. Catherine Petralia is a co-founder of a company called Kabbage. That company provides financial solutions for small businesses. Catherine, before the break, I said that I wanted to talk about if I am an entrepreneur and I had planned for the last 3 years to start a business. The pandemic hits, and I'm thinking, oh, God, this is the worst time to start. That's not necessarily the case.
You're absolutely right. It is counterintuitive, but folks who start businesses during counter-cyclical times have experienced much success. And I'd like to say Kabbage started in late 2008 on the heels of the Great Recession. And companies like Microsoft and Apple and Oracle and all of these very valuable properties with brands we all know and love started during downturns. And so I think it's a great opportunity to take advantage. I think what happens, there are a couple of things that happen. People maybe lose their job or they leave their job and they find themselves in a once in a lifetime opportunity to start something new. Or maybe the downturn, created an opportunity for them because they were able to find a new business model that, hadn't been tackled previously. There are a lot of reasons that you have a lot of new business starts. And some of them, of course, are companies that went under. And so the founders want to start something new. But that's certainly nothing new. And it was definitely expected in this environment.
How do people tap into investors in an economy like we are in right now to say, hey, this is going to be good, this is going to be worth your money, this is worth investing in?
If you follow the stock market, you've seen that, we're hitting record highs and there's lots and lots of cash available, whether it's because people are trading cryptocurrencies or because they're playing the GameStop game. There's a lot of capital out there. And so I think we see it playing out in our market, which is fintech, financial services technology. There are tons of companies raising tons of money. I think it's important to look for, accelerators and incubators, companies that are investing in brand new startups. I think also, banks and private equity firms and hedge funds are all flush with cash right now. It's a great time to find your rich uncle or a rich neighbor or talk to your banker about how you can get access to capital.
Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, people can be very leery of it. I don't know a whole lot about it. Is that something, it's obviously worth checking into because it's gaining a lot of attention. It seems to also be gaining some ground.
I guess what I meant was like cryptocurrency is creating a lot of wealthy individuals, or it's making their wealth greater. Whether you're talking about someone like Elon Musk or a company like Square that reported half of its fourth quarter earnings came from crypto trading. I think it's important to realize that a lot of new wealth is being generated and that wealth is looking for somewhere to go and people want to invest their money. And so it's a great time to raise money for your small business.
Where do I go then when I have absolutely no contacts with any of this and I don't know what to do?
It's a great question, and I wish I had an answer for everyone. There's no real panacea. I think it's important to network, to get out on LinkedIn, to talk to trade associations, to talk to your local banker, to see who's investing in your community and see where they can connect you. But the fact that there's more money out there to be invested is a good sign, and I think we just have to know where to look and do a lot of research to find it.
If anybody is looking to get into real estate, and I may be, jumping way out of your realm of expertise on this, but real estate seems to be something that a lot of people will leave their job to get into. In our community, affordable housing is very difficult to find because people are moving here at a very fast rate, and our housing market is shrinking as far as what's available and on the market. But do you talk to people who are trying to get into real estate when they don't have experience?
I have talked to folks who are getting into that space. I'm actually involved with a company called PadSplit that's trying to help create affordable housing for folks who can't afford to live near their job or to pay for a commute. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities for folks to flip the market right now and to do things to not only do well, but also do good. And investors who are investing in these properties that are being converted into multi-individual rentals are doing really well.
Catherine, we do so much bad news. That's what news is these days, right? Or has been infamous for. It is nice to be able to talk about some positive news and things that could really impact people in a good way in the upcoming year. So I appreciate your time and your insight with all of this.
Thanks so much.